Emotional dysregulation is an often overlooked trait of ADHD and autism. If you are watching this and you're neurodivergent yourself, or you're trying to learn more about maybe a loved one who is neurodivergent, then we're going to go into more detail about emotional dysregulation and what it looks like. First of all, the nervous system is often involved in emotional dysregulation. We tend to feel our feelings deeper than a neurotypical person, whether that be positive or negative feelings, and we experience them so deeply. This in itself can bring challenges. For example, when we are experiencing difficult emotions like feeling sad, feeling angry, it is likely to be so much more intense, and as a result of that, when we're feeling down, we are feeling really down, and that can make us spiral. If you can imagine that those days when we feel down, sometimes we feel like that feeling is permanent. Well, we often feel like that feeling is permanent, and it is hard to get your head around that. That is part of the emotional dysregulation. It's like sometimes we can't see our way out of that feeling. So if you're not neurodivergent and you are trying to understand this on behalf of someone you care about, then just know that when they're experiencing difficult times, they can't see past that. On the other side of that, we also experience positive emotions more intensely, which feels amazing. We can be like an excited little child when it comes to something that we're happy about, and it can almost be like that often brings with it hyperactivity, depending on whether you have that hyperactive element of ADHD or that hyperactive element of autism that it often presents as. So we can experience it at both ends of the spectrum, and that is a positive side of it. But our emotions are so intense that there's often no in between. It's often one or the other. We do obviously have more balanced days when our general emotions are more neutral. When it comes to something that is actually on our mind, or it's something we care about, we are going to be passionate about it, whether that's one way or the other, and that is something that we cannot control. We are feeling that so intensely, whether that be considered a positive or negative emotion. I would like to add that when it comes to rejection sensitivity, this adds in a whole nother level of depth. This can make those difficult emotions so much more difficult, and even bring on a trauma response in the body. I actually experience this trauma response myself sometimes. So if I'm feeling sad about a situation, sad or angry about a particular situation, usually that involves someone else. Maybe it's in my relationship or in a friendship or something. If something happens that has happened in a similar way before, my body remembers, and it goes into like a trauma response, to the point where if I feel extreme rejection, whether it be perceived or real, on top of these deep feelings, I can go into what I would describe as a trauma response in my body, where I shake uncontrollably. I get like cold to my bones, and it's just, I become completely dysregulated. This is something I've experienced for a long time. I don't get it often, but when I do, it is really difficult to manage. I can't force it to pass. I just have to wait for it to pass naturally, and that feeling in itself is so uncomfortable that I just feel completely, it feels quite, it's like I know what's going on, so I don't feel terrified or scared in that way, but it's such an uncomfortable feeling that I wonder, what is this doing to my body, to the point where it's making me shake uncontrollably. I wonder whether you experience that as well. I don't know whether it's got an official term, whether it is to do with just a completely dysregulated nervous system, or whether it is a neurodivergent thing. I don't know. Do you experience this response as well? And if you do, and if you don't mind sharing, put it in the comments, because I would love to understand this more. That's kind of more the extreme end of emotional dysregulation for me personally. I get completely dysregulated when I've been around people for too long, like in a public place. I just need to recharge on my own at home, as I'm sure you do too, or a lot of you do. That in itself feels very overwhelming, but not to the extent of that kind of bodily shaken kind of response, not to that extent, but it still feels uncomfortable enough. And I've even burnt myself out before being excited for something. I've been so excited and got so much adrenaline that when I've done that thing, I'm just worn out, completely worn out, and I can't, and I'm dysregulated completely. It also comes in with, when it comes to like justice sensitivity, this comes into it too, because sometimes I have been completely misunderstood by more neurotypical people. When I'm experiencing justice sensitivity and I feel passionately that's something, why are you doing that? That is wrong. People shouldn't be doing this when it's causing harm to others. And a lot of people going through my life have not understood my reaction. Why are you so bothered? Why do you care so much? And to me, it feels normal that we should care to that amount. And just because I'm speaking passionately about something does not mean that I'm overreacting. I feel like people should be reacting like that. I'm not telling people how to think or how to feel, but to me, it's a normal response to an injustice. That's another element of emotional dysregulation that I don't think neurotypical people understand that well. I know that a lot of people with ADHD and autism experience intense justice sensitivity like I do. So if you experience that too, I'd love to know. Or if you don't experience it, it interests me to know how many of us do experience these kind of complete dysregulation feelings, or who doesn't. It really interests me. I would say that when you combine all these things together, the emotional dysregulation, rejection sensitivity, justice sensitivity, it can be really intense for us. And I want you to know that you're not alone if you feel like this too. I've been told I was weird or too emotional or too sensitive throughout my life. And to me, these are my normal responses to things that happen in the world. And I don't think they are weird. I think they're my responses, and that's, and at times they feel difficult and at times they feel amazing, and that's okay. That's just me, and I'm sure it's a lot of you as well. So I just wanted to do this video about emotional dysregulation because it's not talked about that often, I don't think, and it's something that affects us so deeply. It can cause a lot of issues in everyday life, so it is important that we talk about these things. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. Bye.